Hi Chelsea fans, Chels Daft here, back with a Chelsea news roundup. I've not been on the channel for a couple of days after the massive result against Atletico Madrid due to work commitments and just taking a break or so. Thought I'll come back today with a news roundup of everything that's been happening since beating Atletico Madrid ahead of the game tomorrow against Sheffield United in the FA Cup. I'll be live here on the channel 1:20 tomorrow afternoon for live match commentary, so come and join me for that and I'll talk you through the game. But for now, the news roundup, plenty to feature and cover. Let's get cracking. So we're going to start with contract news, and there's news of potential contracts being discussed and of a potential contract being on hold. So let's start with contract news, and first up, Tammy Abraham, and there's been reports from sources in the media stating that contract talks have been shelved for the time being for Tammy Abraham. Last July triggered an automatic one-year extension to his contract, which takes him to 2023. But any thoughts at the moment of discussing a longer-term deal for Abraham apparently have been shelved. He's under the cosh a little bit, you have to say. I wonder if he's going to be involved in the game tomorrow. I think Giroud will probably start. But for Tammy Abraham, who can't seem to get in at the moment, especially if the manager is going to be here for longer than his 18 months he originally signed, he needs to work hard to force his way back in, and you wonder if he'll be able to do that. There's reports linking him with West Ham and of course Aston Villa, where he spent time on loan, but for Tammy Abraham, things don't look great at the moment anyway. News of potential contract extensions for Toni, Rudiger and Andreas Christensen. It's reported all across the media in the last couple of days that Toni Rudiger wants to just not discuss anything to do with contracts until after the Euros at the end of the season. But for Andreas Christensen in particular, stepping in to the void left by Thiago Silva with his injury, Christensen has been quite simply outstanding. Kurt Zouma did great the other night against Atletico Madrid. He had been one of our most reliable defenders up to the appointment of Thomas Tuchel, and he come in and proved that he's still there to be spoken about, to be there in contention for a start. But Antonio Rudiger has got a new lease of life under Thomas Tuchel, having fallen down the pecking order with Frank Lampard in charge. It looks as though both of these have impressed the new manager, and he's urging the club to get them tied down to longer deals. Transfer news now, and it's been widely reported that Chelsea promise to break the bank for a £130 million deal for Erling Haaland if Thomas Tuchel can qualify for the Champions League next season. That's been widely reported that he's the main Chelsea target, but we continue to read and hear so-called reports that he's not interested in Chelsea. And as featured here on Caught Offside, Erling Haaland tells his agent Mino Raiola, yes, him, the transfer he wants over Chelsea and Man City, who are also reportedly interested, and that's Real Madrid. He wants to go, if he leaves Dortmund, he'll go to Real Madrid. That's where he wants to go and play his football. He's happy to wait an additional year at Dortmund and ignore the advances of Chelsea and Man City to wait for a dream move to Madrid. So to this report in Football London, and Juve are reportedly hopeful of 2 Chelsea transfers this summer, and they believe that their relationship with Marina Granovskaya could be key in getting these deals done. First up, goal-scoring sensation One Touch Emerson, who come on against Atletico with one touch of the ball and scored the goal that took us through comfortably in the end. And he's been linked with a move back to Italy. We saw reports the other day, beginning of the season, back in the summer, that Chelsea were looking to recoup around £33 million for him. This January, February time, we're seeing reports could be as little as 17 million. But it looks as though Juve have targeted Emerson as the first signing, and the second is Jorginho. I guess we have to wait and see, because Jorginho's come out and spoken about how much he's enjoying playing under Thomas Tuchel and the current tactic, which suits his traits as a player. We have to wait and see with regards to all these contract situations and potential transfers. Let's just put them all to bed. Let's just focus on between now and the end of the season with a shout of top 4, FA Cup, believe it or not, Champions League, but more in that in just a second. So I want to take you to Roman Abramovich, who's given an interview and is featured on the Chelsea official website. Now, all of us were surprised when Frank Lampard was sacked, and it was Roman Abramovich who released the statement. We hardly heard officially from Roman Abramovich. It's always been Marina Granovskaya, but he spoke, obviously fearing and sensing the fallout from it with Frank Lampard, a Chelsea legend, going, and what the fans and how they could possibly react. He did the statement and he come out and spoke positively about the whole situation, and he's done it again of making changes with managers, including Frank Lampard, and he said this: I think we're pragmatic in our choices and we're comfortable making the right changes at the right time to ensure that we can achieve our long-term ambitions. I hope it also says something of the clarity of our long-term ambitions at the club. Those who join understand the objectives both on and off the pitch, as well as the wider positive role the club plays in the community. And that's pivotal. A lot of people will sort of point the finger at how many managers he's fired and how much money he's had to pay in compensation. But more often than not, at least sort of 85-90% of the time, it's proved to be justified, with Chelsea then achieving their aim for like a top four or a trophy. And you look at the situation with Roberto Di Matteo when he took over from Andre Villas-Boas. He won the Champions League. You can't really argue with the decisions that are being made. And you look at this season with the players and that performance away at Everton for Frank Lampard's last game, how disjointed, how it looked as though the dressing room was gone, to where we're at, and the unity you saw the other night against Atletico Madrid on the pitch and in the stands, you can't really argue with that decision. So guys, the big news yesterday was the Champions League draw, and get in. We've got a fantastic draw. We've avoided all the big guns, but I have to say this, having watched both legs, Porto versus Juve, this Porto side is a disciplined, a well-organised and underrated team, and this is such a hard game. I have to say, out of all of our potential opponents, we've missed the big guns. PSG, Bayern Munich, Man City, Dortmund, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Chelsea, Porto, and it's confirmed that whoever wins between us and Porto will face the winners of Real Madrid and Liverpool in the semi-final, meaning on the other side of the draw, if Man City beat Dortmund and Bayern beat PSG, Bayern Man City, which is a massive game in a potential other semi-final. Chelsea have got a decent path through here, and you have to say, without getting ahead of ourselves, could it be? That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to tempt fate. That's all I'm going to say. But that draw was unbelievable for us yesterday. So talking of the Champions League and the fact that I've said I'm not going to say any more, there's a good article here written by Miguel Delaney in The Independent, and it's titled "Chelsea emerge as the Champions League's team you want to avoid and are legitimate contenders." Now, you have to say, I think people are going to go a little bit overboard, and maybe rightly so. The performance against Atletico Madrid over both games was quite simply outstanding. We made a team that's labelled as one of the most difficult to play against, one of the most organised, one of the most disciplined, look ordinary. And this team, despite stumbling of late in La Liga, has been flying high at the top of the league, with Real Madrid and Barcelona constantly chasing them to try and chase them down at the top of the league. And they've just been outstanding. We played them twice and they were second best by miles. They were ordinary, they had no clue, no idea how to approach the game, in particular the second game. Having watched us in the first game, they didn't learn anything from it, and maybe that's down to how we play and our shape and the finding those half spaces and just the way we work together. And you have to say, you've got a fancy Chelsea now against anyone. So of course we want to avoid the likes of Bayern. We have, potentially until a final, but that's a long way off. But I wonder, what do you think? Do you think we're the team that people want to avoid? And do you think we're actually contenders? Or is it too early to say? I think it's still too early. There's a long way to go. But we've got to be in there with a chance. And finally, guys, team news for the game tomorrow, the FA Cup game, which you're probably going to see plenty of changes from Thomas Tuchel. After this game, there's the international break coming up, so it's a chance that haven't featured much. The likes of Olivier Giroud, maybe Emerson, also Kurt Zouma, Could we see Billy Gilmore? I wonder. But Tammy Abraham is back involved in the squad. Unfortunately, Thiago Silva isn't. He's not quite there yet. But it's a good game to play tomorrow. Sheffield United have just, unfortunately, sacked the manager Chris Wilder, who's done a great job for them over the years. They got a new management team in. They're going to be looking to prove themselves tomorrow. So this is not a given. This is a game you need to go out and win. But the way we're playing, the record that Thomas Tuchel has set for the most games and unbeaten start as a manager, 13 games in all competitions, you have to consider Chelsea as favourites. So, thing is, you need to go on that white line, cross it, and then deliver. And hopefully we can tomorrow. Join me tomorrow, 1:20 for the live match commentary. Actual commentary, I'll talk you through the game as it plays out. That's it from me, guys. Chelsea news roundup for the past 48 hours or so, maybe 72, since the end of the Atletico Madrid game. If you've enjoyed this video, drop a like on it for me, subscribe to the channel, but make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you're notified when my videos come out. Have a good Saturday night. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Thanks for watching.